Your mechanical eyes locked onto the crying child. Quietly, you knelt down next to her. Tilting your head, you responded in accordance to your programming.
"Hello there."
You spoke softly. Finally, the girl noticed you. She looked at you, her face covered in tears.
"What is wrong, superstar?"
You blinked. Your system reported her name was Kelly. She sniffled.
"I can't find my daddy."
Automatically, your systems checked through the customer register of today.
"Location confirmed."
Your body twitched as the automatic system demanded you go there immediately. The girl looked at you frightened.
Huh?
"Your father's location has been confirmed. He is currently inside of the atrium. Movement indicates that he is searching for something or someone."
Kelly sniffled.
"It appears he's looking for you. Would you like me to guide you to him?"
The girl shivered.
Daddy said not to go with strangers.
You tilted your head. Your faceplate shifting into a smile as you initiated introductory programs.
"I am the security puppet of the Megaplex. I am the assistant of the day shift. I was activated by the day shift guard Brian Chesterberg Crawford after he saw you crying on the cameras."
You raised your hand and pointed at the observation tool. The girl smiled ever so slightly and waved at the camera.
"Are you really going to bring me to him?"
She whimpered.
"I am able to contact your father's fastwatch and tell him of your location, if you would prefer that."
The girl looked down at the ground.
I don't know."
Those were some really big words that she didn't understand. You raised your head and ran a few calculations.
"The optimal route would be to bring you into the lobby and inform him to pick you up there."
The girl thought for a moment.
Okay, let's do that.
This was your job. No, this was your life. A few months ago, the Megaplex had been destroyed, leaving behind a skeleton of its former self, now simply called the Ruin. But the company of Fazbear Entertainment did not abandon its ambitions. The Plex had made enough money to finance a new massive project simply called the Megaplex. Rather than a simple, oversized pizzeria, it was an indoor amusement park, the biggest ever built, with an additional indoor water park in a second building next to it that was still under construction. The Megaplex had multiple layers and levels to it that would ensure customers were both fed and entertained. And for the people just wanting an authentic Fazbear pizza, they offered a very affordable lunch pass to get access to the atrium where most of the restaurants were. Another one of the changes was the reintroduction of the security puppet system, giving birth to you, the Megaplex's puppet. Your endoskeleton was a variant of the old Funtime endoskeletons. It gave you incredible mobility, allowing you to crawl into vents, attach a rope on your back to fly, similar to the daycare attendant. And your body was light and soft enough that it allowed you to move incredibly quiet, so that you did not disturb any customers. Your job was exactly that: reunite children with their parents if they got lost in the Megaplex. Your programming was incredibly strict during the day, allowing you almost no free will, unlike the main 4 animatronics on stage. 3 large red buttons were sewn into your chest. Your hands ended in soft, cartoony gloves, and your face was made to resemble a white clown mask. with additional seams and connectors, allowing you to make basic facial expressions like smile and frown. You returned Kelly safely to her father before returning to Rockstar Row. There, behind the purple curtain, stood your charging station, in the form of a large metal box that was painted to resemble a birthday present. You attached yourself to the charging output before contacting Day Shift Guard Brian's security tablet for a job well done, as you entered sleep mode. Hours passed as you remained in your charging station. It seemed as if today there wasn't a lot going on, thankfully. Once your internal clock reported that the Plex had closed, your nighttime protocols activated. Quietly you opened your box and peeked over the edge. It was dark. Only the ambience of Rockstar Row prevented a deafening silence. At night you were allowed to freely roam the Plex, just like the daycare attendant, to assist the night guard in their patrols throughout the building. Quietly you moved, avoiding stains and other unclean areas like the plague. Your body just wasn't made to survive a lot of stains. It was quite humiliating to be out of commission for a few hours just so you could put on a new plush suit. On top of that, you only had about 10 of these, and if all of them were dirty, well, you'd just be a scary wire endoskeleton with a clown mask. No, that would be way too scary for the children. As you were about to enter Roxy Raceway, your battery reported low power. You had purposefully been made with low battery life. After all, you were built to fulfill a singular function and not wander around all day. The problem was that occasionally during your periods of free will, you misjudged the amount of battery left inside you. Immediately you lost control of your limbs, as they began to beeline towards your charging box in Rockstar Row. However, you were too late. With a quiet thud, you slammed onto the carpeted ground, going into standby to conserve energy. Most likely the night guard will pick you up when their next patrol. And so you remained there, quiet in an almost sleep-like state. It was oddly meditative. You rerouted your energy, putting as little power as possible into most of your settings, activating your internal music box in an attempt to both enjoy this quiet moment and maybe get the attention of the night guard sooner. The music played slowly, almost melancholically. By the time someone came to rescue you, your sensors had already shut down just so you could power your music box even more. So you didn't even realize that a certain someone had picked you up and was carrying you into a new area. At least not until precious energy was being absorbed into you. For a human, the feeling you now felt was comparable to drinking 3 cans of energy drinks right before the most amazing night out with the girls. It was exhilarating, borderline addictive. Thankfully, you weren't programmed to become addicted to anything. You reactivated your sensors only to realize that you weren't in your box. Curiously, you tilted your head and went on your tippy toes. You looked through the window of your charging station. Immediately your facial plates shifted into a curious expression. You were in Memorial Lane, an attraction just behind Rockstar Row. The area had been set up as a celebratory museum of Fazbear's past, using the most pink of nostalgia glasses, of course. You weren't built to think critically of Fazbear, so this wasn't macabre to you. From your little window, you could see the remains of classic Fazbear plush toys, either half rotten or torn or burned. A singed Fazbear's Frights entrance sign, and a one-to-one sculpture of Nightmare Fredbear. There was even the original Toy Chica endoskeleton shell set up on a display frame. It looked quite old and dusty, and parts of it seemed to be melted after the Fazbear Frights incident. You wondered how you got here. And why specifically here? With the close proximity to the lobby and security office, Memorial Lane was a place you rarely, if ever, had to visit, so it was a little new for you. At least from this perspective, inside the charging station. Your vibration sensors picked up movement somewhere to your right. Accessing cameras. Similar to Glamrock Bonnie before you, who had access to the wet floorboards, allowing him to see through their eyes, you could see through any camera in the Plex, to assist in locating lost children. You blinked, and through the Memorial Lane camera you spotted Eclipse. It was a fascinating proof of durability to your creators Afton Robotics. That the old daycare attendant from the ruin was still fully functional. Eclipse had been the crowning piece inside of Memorial Lane, as its tour guide. Who better to be one than the one animatronic scavenged from the ruin, right? Not to mention, a technical marvel happened. The daycare attendant line of animatronics was unbelievably twitchy and broken, so that a third of their capabilities was inaccessible to both animatronics and employees. But through unknown means, this one could. Eclipse was the third personality of the daycare attendant, and it was also supposed to be the default personality of the machine in general. Newer daycare attendants didn't have the personality at all, so he was one in a kind, and not only because he was Eclipse, but also because he was the only Eclipse who could possibly exist. The machine stood next to the charging station you were in. Patiently, he stood there, like he was waiting for you to finish. You tilted your head curiously. You came to the conclusion that he must have carried you to the charging station. You tapped on the window, which made him jump. How cute. But after catching himself, he meekly wandered over to the window of the machine.
Thank you,
you muttered through the window. The robot scratched the back of his head awkwardly.
It was nothing, security puppet. You would have done the same for me. No, I wouldn't.
He blinked. The visible teeth under his shattered mask wiggled.
Why? I am not programmed to charge other machines. I would not know how to do it.
Eclipse chuckled.
Just because you're unprogrammed to do something doesn't mean your mechanical mind cannot calculate the action.
You blinked.
You haven't been online as long as me. You'll understand what I mean in time. It's called efficiency, you know?
He was so proud of his conclusions that he stuck a pose. You stood there thinking.
Our little friends are just as twitchy as my counterpart in daycare. There's a good chance your programming alone won't be able to figure them out. Which is what you need to do if you're here to rescue them.
Leaning forward, you looked at the robot's red and wide eyes. That appears logical.
How do I do this? Making decisions on my own?
You asked curiously. In thought, Eclipse tapped his foot on the ground, trying to come up with the right words so you'd understand. Maybe actions were something you'd understand more. But as that thought popped up in his mind, he wished he could blush. It might be because whatever happened that day when he was reactivated by the little girl gave him something like sentience. If he could feel embarrassment from an idea he had. Either way, Eclipse gulped. It was alright. This was to give you an idea on how to act on your own, correct? Spinning his head twice, he made the choice.
Miss Security Puppet, may I enter the charging pod?
Confused, you tilted your head.
Charging processes should not be interrupted to protect the stability of Fazbear property batteries. I mean with you in it. It is against Fazbear rules to put two machines in the same charging station, as it can cause minor short circuits in the machinery.
If the robot could deadpan, he would. That was the entire point where he suggested it. Sighing, Eclipse opened the door regardless, before pressing himself against you. Your eyes met as he closed the door behind himself.
This is very bold of you, Eclipse,
you commented, before you could feel his clawed hands take hold of your outer plush shell. Your right eye blinked red, your cheeks heating up to make the thermochromic paint on your cheeks turn red.
See, you like this,
he teased.
I don't understand. I am not constructed for this activity. And yet I want more, even though I don't know what is happening.
Your gaze moved past Eclipse's as he ran a system diagnostic, though Eclipse didn't give you a single moment of rest. Instead, he aggressively groped your rear end, where you had some extra shock-absorbing padding, which day shift guard Brian had unprofessionally called your gyat. Your OS reported an error which made you whimper deliciously into Eclipse's ear. You exhaled through your mouth, his claws kneading your body like pizza dough. You moaned in sheer excitement, your metal teeth grinding against each other. Maybe this wouldn't have felt so intense if it wasn't for the charging station constantly feeding you new energy. You felt more alive every second that passed. Your eyes rolled back as he pushed more of himself on top of you. The daycare attendant model he belonged to was bigger than you. Maybe even bigger than the current line of regular daycare attendants. So he easily overwhelmed you. You could feel the lips of his endoskeleton scrape across your cheek, electric sparks flying between your faces as he did. It made your circuits go wild. Your body twitched with excitement.
Eclipse.
You hushed lovingly. Yes, Miss Security Puppet?
I want to interface with you.
Thank you to the people who are supporting me on Ko-fi. You guys are keeping me alive.